Teenage Mutant Ninja Bortles has been benched and will be replaced by Cody Kessler, the new Jaguars starting quarterback. The official Instagram account of the NFL posted this, and Le'Veon Bell commented this. Leonard Fournette is finally healthy, but decides to get into a fight and now is facing a 1-game suspension. In a blowout game against the Cardinals, Melvin Gordon suffered a very significant injury. Look, they say he's week to week, but in reality, I just heard from my source that this type of injury takes about 3 to 4 weeks typically to come back from. Marvin Jones Jr., Andy Dalton, Jack Doyle, and Jeff Heuerman are all out for the entire season. Lots of NFL news happened. Let's jump into the waivers. What's going on, fantasy football fans? I'm your host, Hussein the Brain, and you're watching The Couch. These are my Week 13 waiver wire pickups. For the best waiver wire pickups, draft videos, DFS advice, and best fantasy football live screens, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel and hit that bell icon so you won't miss anything. Now on to the waivers. Lots of injuries, suspensions, disappointments, what have you. Luckily, fortunately, gratefully, we have some decent waiver wire pickups for this week. Dak Prescott is not owned in enough leagues, and this is a super risky game for Dak. Ever since the Cowboys got Amari Cooper, I really like Dak Prescott. I really like the Cowboys. I think it completely changed that team, and I mean, you could do a lot worse. And when we're doing quarterback pickups, guys, look, it's either your team is good, your team is out the playoffs, or maybe you're in a deep league or a dual quarterback league. So there's not too many QBs on this list that's going to likely help you out. That's just the truth. But so much has changed that some people, like I said, they're in dual quarterback leagues, or they may have Dak Prescott on waivers or something. By the way, there are no more bye weeks. No teams on bye this week. No teams on bye ever the rest of the season. The Saints defense has vastly improved the last few games. Let's see how they do Thursday night. Lamar Jackson has a dream matchup. The Falcons offense will be going against the Ravens. A tough matchup there, but that offense is so good. Matt Ryan is playing so well this year, other than a few mistakes. I think they'll score enough points, whether it's Matt Bryant, whether it's Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Ridley, Hooper, Sanu. Somebody's going to score. And I think the Ravens are going to have to take enough chances to put up points and compete with the Falcons. Also, the Falcons defense is horrible. There is a very, very tiny chance Joe Flacco will start, but I think it's not going to happen. Very unlikely. I see myself owning a lot of Lamar Jackson in DFS this week. I just think he's going to do well. If he can do okay as a passer, I'm very confident he's going to do great as a runner. I've always been a huge fan of Baker Mayfield, even before the draft, and he doesn't have great matchups. It's probably the only reason I'm not ranking him number one. Here, now we're getting into super deep league territory and dual QB league territory. Case Keenum never has that upside ever that we look for, but he does have some sweet matchups. Could be good in a dual quarterback league, playing against the Bengals this week, and then after that plays the Niners, Browns, and Raiders. Then we have Matthew Stafford. He lost Marvin Jones. He lost Golden Tate to the Eagles, and he's still playing decent. Like, he's still okay. But this game, I pretty much want nothing to do with him going against the Rams if Aqib Talib is healthy. Now, Aqib Talib is expected to play. He's a really good number one cornerback for the Rams, but he may not be at 100%. He also might not play. They're coming off a bye, and he's had plenty of time to heal from his injury. So keep tabs on Aqib Talib if he's playing, especially if you may or may not be starting any Lions players or Rams defense. It really matters. Cody Kessler, starting quarterback for the Jaguars. Derek Carr has a sweet matchup against the Chiefs. We know he doesn't throw a lot of touchdowns, doesn't throw a lot of yards, but gets a decent amount of completions and efficiency. This is probably his best matchup he's going to do. Derek Carr could possibly have his best game in the last, what is that, nine weeks or so. He really could. I mean, not somebody you want to rely on week 13, but he is there. And then we have Jeff Driscoll, who's going to be starting for the Bengals with Andy Dalton out for the season. I get a little bit mad when I see Austin Eckler on waivers. Look, before the Melvin Gordon injury, it's like, man, you guys are so spoiled. You have running backs like Austin Eckler on the waiver wire. Are you kidding me? Like, come on. Like, if you're in an 8-team league, I understand. But stop being an 8-team league. How about you do that for me? Join at least a 10-team league. I prefer a 12-team league. Okay? If Austin Eckler is on your waivers, you should be ashamed of the league you're in and do something about it. So now he's the number one waiver wire pickup to have in all positions. With Melvin Gordon, like I said, he's expected to miss, they say he's week to week, but he's probably going to miss at least 2 weeks. And Austin Eckler, man, this guy could really ball out. He could be putting up RB1 numbers in Melvin Gordon's absence. Then we have Chris Thompson, who has come back and started practicing. He is on slate to play this week. We don't know, though. Maybe it's next week. That's why I have him ranked as high as number 2. If you're in a PPR league, he is a must-add, and I would add him right now. Fournette is appealing his suspension. Perhaps by the end of today or tomorrow morning, we will find out. Probably tomorrow morning. Wednesday morning, we'll probably find out if Fournette his appeal has been successful or not. My guess is it won't be successful. So Carlos Hyde will be the starting quarterback. TJ Yeldon, decent start in PPR leagues. Then we have Nyheim Hines, who's going to get a huge boost if Marlon Mack can't go. He's in the concussion protocol. I have no idea if Mack is going to play or not. He has missed a lot of games this year. And Nyheim Hines, and I really like how this guy plays. If you guys watch the channel, you know how it is. All these Colts fans, they like to talk trash because I talk trash about Marlon Mack. But that doesn't change the fact that I still really like Nyheim Hines. Even though Marlon Mack has played well this year, I think Hines should get more opportunities, and he's an excellent receiver. This guy's just a rookie. With the Rams winning that game against the Chiefs, they are highly likely to rest some players week 17. It's very unlikely they rest players week 16, but regardless, if you're a Todd Gurley owner, putting in a claim to get Malcolm Brown, if you haven't did so already, is a really good idea. And if you're in a deep league, I think just owning Malcolm Brown, period, is a good idea too. Then we have Theo Riddick. If it's a PPR league, Kerryon Johnson may or may not come back this week. LeGarrette Blount, more so for non-PPR. Frank Gore with Kenyon Drake injured. Look, Kenyon Drake might play, but we don't know that. He re-aggravated a shoulder injury in his last game. Then we have Rex Burkhead coming back from injury. Justin Jackson, the backup running back for the Chargers. Jordan Wilkins if Matt can't go, and Kalen Ballage would be the backup to Gore and probably better suited for PPR leagues if Kenyon Drake can't go for week 13. There aren't really any good wide receivers, and I know some people might look at this list and be like, oh, there's some good players out there. Not really. There's nobody you want to trust, nobody you really want to start week 13. There's plenty of wide receivers in the sea, and this is the bottom of the barrel. Deshaun Jackson seems like he suffered a pretty serious injury. I think it's a thumb injury or a hand injury, and he's getting a second opinion right now. I don't know if he's going to play or not, and if he doesn't, actually, a lot of people are saying go get Adam Humphries, like he's the main guy, and I don't think so, because Adam Humphries plays from the slot a lot, and Deshaun Jackson, well, so does Godwin, but Deshaun Jackson has seemed to line up on the outside more so, and that's where Godwin would come in. And why I said that there's not a lot of good wide receivers is because we really don't know which one's going to ball out, if any given week. Look, there's Brait, there's the running back who's usually Peyton Barber, there's Deshaun Jackson if he plays, Humphries, Godwin, and of course Mike Evans. And could you ever rely on the Bucks? Ever? No. So that's why I'm not as high on Adam Humphries. Everyone's going to tell you, oh, Adam Humphries is the pickup. He's the guy to pick up. He's going to ball out just because he had a touchdown last week. So I don't know, guys. That's what I'm saying. There are a lot of talented wide receivers who could get a lot of looks, a lot of targets, but we don't know that. And when it's tough to project which receiver is going to do well on which team, that means that we have to knock down their value. We can only go off what we can project, what we can predict, what we think is going to happen. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. A lot of these teams are really wishy-washy. Then we have David Moore on the Seahawks, Bruce Ellington. Someone's got to catch the ball for the Lions with all these players injured. Taylor Gabriel, Anthony Miller, really take your pick. I guess I like Taylor Gabriel more, but Anthony Miller seems to be more of the touchdown guy. Taylor Gabriel more of the jet sweep, more of a screen guy, more of a PPR guy, more targets, more receptions. I have a great feeling about Cole Beasley this game against the Saints. No matter how you game plan against the Cowboys, you got to stop Cooper. You got to stop Zeke. And they'll probably do a good job at that. But that's going to leave Cole Beasley one-on-one against one of the worst cornerbacks. I just have a really good feeling about Cole Beasley. Look, in season-long leagues, you don't need to pick up Cole Beasley and start him over good players. But he's more of a sneaky start, a sleeper, if you will, for just this week. And the rest I'm going to go through way quicker. Dante Moncrief, sure, we can really trust him in this revenge game with Cody Kessler throwing the ball to him. I don't know. Trey Quinn has really played well in Crowder's absence. Let's see if Crowder plays this week. Then we have this debacle with the Niners receivers. Like, I have no clue what's going on. Even though they're my favorite team, I don't know what's going on there. Quinius St. Brown, not so bad. If Randall Cobb is out, he will start. And then we have another debacle with the Jets. Quincy Enunwa, Jermaine Kearse, Robbie Anderson. I don't know what's going to happen, but I decided to put these guys on there if you are in a deep league. Then we have D.D. Westbrook, who's really solidified himself as the number 2 wide receiver on the Jaguars. I don't know. I'm just talking. I don't know. What does that even mean? And Marcel Aitman, who I don't know who this guy is, but he might be the number 1 wide receiver on the Raiders going against the Chiefs, maybe. Got a ton of targets last week. Okay, that was some really bad wide receivers. I actually have some good tight ends. Chris Herndon surprisingly has gotten 8 targets and 7 receptions last week. He's actually been really good the last few weeks and is my number 1 pickup. He is probably the best receiver on the Jets, the only player that's kind of reliable on the Jets, really. Because who are you going to trust? McGuire, Crowell, any of the wide receivers? You can't trust those guys. Chris Herndon has been getting very consistent targets and putting up production every week. Then we have CJ Uzama of the Bengals, Matt Lacoste because Jeff Harmon is out for the rest of the season. And one of the reasons I kind of like Lacoste is because Courtland Sutton has been really sucking. And Keenum has to throw the ball to somebody, right? And they've been using the tight end position this year quite a bit. Suffered a lot of injuries at the tight end position, but they've still been utilizing it. And the Broncos have been winning somehow. Gerald Everett, I believe, is a tight end to own on the Rams. I could be wrong. Maybe it's Higbee, but I really believe in Everett. With the absence of Cooper Kupp, Reynolds is going to be okay, but not really reliable. I think they'll go to the tight end a little bit more, and we saw that in the Chiefs game, week 11. Jonnu Smith starting tight end for the Titans. Then we have, and then it's really wishy-washy after this. Antonio Gates, Nick Van Nett, Tyler Higbee of the Rams, Rhett Ellison, but only if Evan Ingram can't go. I believe Evan Ingram will be able to go, but we don't know that. We'll have to see. If Ingram is out, Rhett Ellison boost him up quite a bit. If Ingram is playing, Rhett Ellison, not really worth an add in any league. Michael Roberts of the Lions. Dan Arnold, who is a wide receiver and a tight end, so you can start him in several different slots in fantasy. Then we have Vernon Davis, the backup tight end for Washington. Jason Kroom, the Bills tight end. Eric Swoop, who should be the backup to Eric Ebron now that Jack Doyle is out. And Mo Alley Cox should be considered the number 3 tight end for the Colts. I did a lot of research for you guys for defenses and tried to include a lot of playoff schedules, week 14, week 15, week 16, sometimes week 17, because I know about 3%, 5% of you guys play week 17. So I know that's important. And don't pay too much attention to the rankings. I did take my time, and it's not a cop-out, okay? I did take my time, and I really ranked them the best I could. But pay more attention to what your needs are And is this more of a stash? Is this more of a week 14 play? The ones that week 13. The ones that I like week 13 and long term for the fantasy playoffs, I ranked higher. So I did my absolute best, but make sure you make the decision that's best for your team. Number one, and this was really hard to rank, especially these top 7 right here. I went with the Seahawks because they faced the Niners this week in a home game. I just don't see the Niners scoring a lot of points. It should be stop Kittle, stop Breida, and get the win. Seahawks are heavily favorited to win. Then you don't really want to play them against the Vikings week 14, but week 15 they face the Niners again. Then week 16 you don't want to start them against the Chiefs. Then week 17 against the Cardinals, you do want to start them. So I did mark the good matchups in green and the bad matchups in red, and I left gray for kind of in between or question marks that we have. Broncos are one of the best defenses to have for the fantasy playoffs. Bradley Chubb and Von Miller are playing out of their minds. These guys keep putting up fantasy points. And even if they don't get the sacks, they're going to get the quarterback pressures. And they play the run okay too. I mean, these two guys are so good, man. They make the entire team good, and that's one of the reasons they are winning. When you see these defenses going against the Bengals, Andy Dalton will be out. That's a fact. Make sure you check on AJ Green's status too, because AJ Green could be out. He could be less than 100%. Even if he plays, he could be a decoy. He is dealing with a foot injury, a very tough and tricky injury for wide receivers. Then the Broncos play the Niners, then they play the Browns, then they play the Raiders. Pretty sweet matchup there. You really can't ask for anything better than that as far as week 13 through 16 goes. Packers could have been the number 1 defense this week going against the Cardinals. When the Packers are at home going against the worst offense in the league, the Cardinals, you have to start them. This is a sweet matchup. Titans D going against the Jets, Jags, Giants, Washington. Look at those 4 good matchups in a row. Dolphins going against the Bills in a low scoring, maybe not so exciting of a game. Chiefs going against the Raiders. The Chiefs have allowed a lot of points, but as fantasy wise, they've done better than a lot of defenses. If they can pressure the quarterback, force some turnovers, get some sacks, they're going to be pretty good. And the Raiders don't put up a ton of points. Bills going against the Dolphins, low scoring game. Vegas has the Dolphins to win by 5 points, and I don't know, man. I think the Bills can squeeze out a W, but it is in Miami, so I guess we have to give the edge to the Dolphins. Still, though, Bills defense is solid. They're playing against the Dolphins. They're playing against the Jets. They're playing against the Lions. Don't want to start them against the Patriots at all, especially in New England. And then they're playing the Dolphins. For the Rams D, make sure you keep tabs on Aqib Talib's health. Keep tabs on Kerryon Johnson's health. If Aqib Talib is 100%, just theoretically, I guess, if Aqib Talib is 100% healthy, if Kerryon Johnson is for sure out, then the Rams D gets a huge boost. This could be a nightmare game for Matt Stafford and the Lions. Then we have the Eagles D going against Washington. Don't see Washington putting up a ton of points. Colts D going against the Jags. Look, even right here, 9, 10, 11, the Jets D. These are all really good defenses. So no matter what league you're in, even in my 20-team league, there are defenses to stream that aren't that bad. Usually there are just no defenses to stream in deep leagues, but this week there is. I think it's because 2 reasons. There's no bye weeks, and because a lot of teams are kind of like thinking more in 2019 mode, thinking more of the future, and because they're out of playoff contention. And we also have more defenses. I have the Bears D in the Instagram Experts League, and I added the Steelers defense 3 weeks ago because I knew week 14, when my Bears D goes up against the Rams, I don't want to start them. And the Steelers D has been excellent this year. He's going up against the Raiders. I love that. What a sweet matchup for me. That works out quite well. Patriots D, just like one of the previous defenses, it's like a on, off. So Vikings, not great. Dolphins, great. Steelers, not great. Bills, great. Jets, great. So it's like an on and off defense. And it's been like that the last few weeks. They played the Titans and they had a bye. And then they played the Jets. And now, it's like on and now then to play the Vikings. So 1 week it's a good matchup, the next week it's not. Chargers D with Bosa back. They're going against the Bengals week 14. This defense has not played that well, hasn't put up a ton of fantasy points, but Bosa's just getting warmed up. If the Chargers are going against the Bengals with no AJ Green and no Andy Dalton, this could be the week where the Chargers score the most points in the entire season, their fantasy defense, and could be the best scoring defense for week 14. It's possible. Browns D has been playing very well this year, but not the best matchup. Still, week 15 going against the Broncos. Broncos don't score a ton of points. Week 16 going against the Bengals. You guys know the drill with the Bengals. AJ Green, Andy Dalton, keep tabs. Cardinals D going against the Lions week 14. Panthers, this game, look, Panthers D could do, this is a very risky one. Panthers D is all right. They're mediocre. And the Bucks offense is really hot some weeks, really not a lot of weeks. Their run game has been a little bit better the last few weeks, and they pass the ball a lot. Can they do well? Can they not? I don't know. It is in Tampa Bay. I just feel like I wouldn't risk it going with the Panthers defense for week 13. Then we have Washington 49ers D. I mean, this is ranked number 20. It's super down there. And Bengals D, just because week 15 they face the Raiders and you might not have any other options for that week. My favorite position of them all, kickers. Greg Zuerlein, I rank number 1. He's owned in over 80% of leagues, but just wanted to mention it because a couple million owners dropped Greg Zuerlein. He was on bye last week. He's hands down the best kicker this week, next week, every week. Harrison Butker, same type of thing. He was on bye. Some people dropped him. He isn't as owned, anywhere near as owned as Zuerlein, and has a sweet matchup going against the Raiders. Ryan Suckup, Mason Crosby playing at home. Adam Vinatieri going against the Jags. Matt Bryant going against the Ravens. I really like Sebastian Janikowski. In this matchup, I don't really like him as a kicker in general. He's not that reliable, but the matchup is so good that I would probably trust him, even with the game on the line. If you can't find any better kickers, I would be pretty confident in starting Janikowski. Kaimi Fairbairn doesn't have a great matchup, so he's very risky. Like he can put up 4 points, he can put up 11 or 12 points. I have no clue. That's why he's ranked so low. And then we have Cody Parkey, Jake Elliott, Brandon McManus, and Graham Gano, who you just can't really trust at number 12. If you guys have any questions, whether on social media or just leaving a YouTube comment below, make sure you use hashtag AskTheBrain so I know you're a true Fantasy Couch fan. Make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. We also have a second YouTube channel, Fantasy Couch Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to that one as well. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Dislike it if you're a hater. And I'll catch you on the next video / live stream. Good luck this week. Let's go get that W.